Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day so far. I got a good one for you today. So, Justin Trudeau gave us the New Year's gift we all were hoping for. He finally resigned and prorogued Parliament. Now, we do still have him until March, but this is a wonderful gift. So I thought we'd go through his speech he made this morning and break down. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And with no further ado, let's get into it.
So I thought it might be fun for us to do this again. Bon matin. Every morning I've woken up as Prime Minister. I've been inspired by the resilience, the generosity, and the determination of Canadians. It is the driving force of every single day I have the privilege of serving in this office. That is why, since 2015, I've fought for this country, for you, to strengthen and grow the middle class. Why we rallied to support each other through the pandemic, to advance reconciliation, to defend free trade on this continent, to stand strong with Ukraine and our democracy, and to fight climate change and get our economy ready for the future.
You mean pretty much destroy our economy for the future and for generations to come. And you're all right, Trudeau, that Canadians have been resilient, in spite of you. And definitely we've had to be pretty generous over the years since he's been in power. 25% of Canadians are in poverty now, and an extra 2 million people are going to food banks. So you are right on that aspect of Canadians.
We are at a critical moment in the world. My friends, as you all know, I'm a fighter. Every bone in my body has always told me to fight because I care deeply about Canadians. I care deeply about this country, and I will always be motivated by what is in the best interest of Canadians. And the fact is, despite best efforts to work through it, Parliament has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in Canadian history. That's why this morning I advised the Governor-General that we need a new session of Parliament. She has granted this request, and the House will now be prorogued until March 24th. Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today.
So Justin Trudeau is all about fighting for the country and what's best for Canadians. And Canadians have been telling him over and over and over and over again that we don't want his carbon tax, and his carbon tax is not working. And he keeps it in, and he sees what it's doing to the lower class and the lower middle class Canadians, and keeps telling us that, hey, without the carbon tax, things would be worse. And we're supposed to believe that that's what's in the best interest for Canadians? On the fact that he's saying, that Parliament has been shut down for, 6 months? And he doesn't mention why. Why is that? Well, if you didn't give the RCMP blacked out documents on the Green Slush Fund and actually gave them the documents they asked of you, then Parliament wouldn't be seized, now would it? But, of course, he's not going to say that.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election. Mes chers amis, comme vous savez, je suis un fighter.
So he's blaming this on internal battles in the Liberal Party, and that's why he's resigning. And, I mean, there is internal struggles, but I think why he's resigning is because people in his party hate him. And hate's a strong word, but looking at the poll numbers, it's the strong H.
The Liberal Party of Canada is an important institution in the history of our great country and democracy. A new Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party will carry its values and ideals into that next election. I'm excited to see the process unfold in the months ahead. We were elected for the third time in 2021 to strengthen the economy post-pandemic and advance Canada's interests in a complicated world. And that is exactly the job that I and we will continue to do for Canadians. Merci beaucoup, mes amis.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
I thought he was going to cry for a moment there. I was waiting for it. I see the tears coming. But I don't think the guy's lying. I think he actually thinks that the Liberals have strengthened our economy and strengthened Canada. All you have to do is look at the dollar. I mean, the dollar did spike to, compared to the US dollar, like a little bit, but it went right back down. And right now, I think we're back down to 70% or 70 cents on the dollar. So just that alone should show them that we aren't doing good, that you're doing something wrong. I mean, when you had a deficit of 62 billion and the cap was 40, I mean, that should have showed you that something was wrong. This guy, I'm so glad we have him out now. Or at least he can't do anything else to mess up Canada. That's what we can be happy about. We do have him until March, but let's get to the question and answer period.
As you all know, I am a fighter, and I am not someone who backs away from a fight, particularly when a fight is as important as this one is. But I have always been driven by my love for Canada, by my desire to serve Canadians, and by what...
I thought he was going to say driven by greed, but yeah, totally Canada.
What is in the best interest of Canadians. And Canadians deserve a real choice in the next election. And it has become obvious to me with the internal battles that I cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election.
Vous êtes au pouvoir.
See, he keeps saying that he's a fighter. I think the thing that he's most irritated about is that he actually thought he could stand up to Pierre Poilievre, but because the Liberals and Canadians have been just begging him to step down and telling him to step down, and now that he has, that's his big regret, is he won't be able to go up against Pierre in an election. So he's constantly just saying, I'm a fighter, man. I'm a fighter. I'm just not the right guy, but I'm a fighter. He's trying to prove something to us.
We got elected in 2015 to fight for the middle class, and that's exactly what we've done over the past years. We reduced their taxes, we increased the benefits to families, we made sure the economy was focused on working for everyone and not just a few. And that has changed. That has dropped poverty rates in Canada, that has brought more people into the workforce, that has moved us forward on reconciliation in a way that has deeply improved the opportunities and success of Canadians despite the incredibly difficult times the world is going through right now. There's lots more work to be done, and I know that this party and this country and Canadians will keep doing it. If I have one regret, particularly as we approach this election, well, there are probably many regrets that I will think of, but I do wish that we'd been able to change the way we elect our governments in this country so that people could simply choose a second choice or a third choice on the same ballot, so that parties would spend more time trying to be people's second or third choices, and people would have been looking for things they have in common instead of trying to polarize and divide Canadians against each other. I think in this time, figuring out how to pull together and find common ground remains something that is really important for democracies, but I could not change unilaterally without support of other parties our electoral system. That wouldn't have been responsible.
Prochaine question.
Whoa, whoa. Okay, let's hold your horses there, Trudeau. You were the guy who, once you ran in 2015, you ran on electoral reform that year, and then right after you got in, you said that electoral reform was not possible and you weren't going to pursue it. And he keeps saying he's reduced poverty, but back when we had Stephen Harper, I mean, we did have the high number of 14% poverty rate, but like I said, now it's 25%. And about polarizing and dividing Canadians against each other, this guy is the most polarizing figure we have in Canada. Just remember the trucker convoy whenever he says anything about polarizing Canadians. And this guy was the guy who enacted the Emergencies Act, said all of the truckers, or standing with the truckers, was standing with the German, the bad Germans who did really bad things in the 1940s. And that goes the same with anti-vaxxers and all the other stuff. Trudeau is and has been the most polarizing prime minister we have ever had.
Tonda McCharles, Toronto Star. Prime Minister, up until 3 weeks ago, you were intending to stay, and it seems that the event 3 weeks ago of Ms. Freeland coming out and saying you were firing her as your finance minister was the catalyst that brought us here today. So can you explain your side of what happened there?
Chrystia has been by my side for close to 10 years now. She has been an incredible political partner through just about everything we have done as a government and as a party over the past decade. I had really hoped that she would agree to continue as my deputy prime minister and take on one of the most important files that not just this government but this country is facing, but she chose otherwise. In regards to what actually happened, I am not someone who's in the habit of sharing private conversations.
Oh, so hearing that, it sounds like he was going to demote her to just deputy prime minister and not finance minister. So, very interesting. Yeah, so he might have wanted to get Mark Carney into finance minister. And that's what happened. I mean, this is just all speculation. We don't know, but that's what it sounds like.
You spoke about the Liberal Party as an institution and the internal battles right now, but I'm wondering if you feel that another leader will have more success than you will at beating Pierre Poilievre in the next campaign.
Pierre Poilievre's vision for this country is not the right one for Canadians. Stopping the fight against climate change doesn't make sense. backing off on the values and strength in diversity that Canada has always worked to pull itself together on is not the right path for the country. Attacking journalists, the CBC institutions, that's not what Canadians need in this moment. We need an ambitious, optimistic view of the future, and Pierre Poilievre is not offering that. And I look forward to the fight as progressives across this country stand up for the kind of vision for a better country that Canadians have always carried, despite the tremendous pressures around the world to think smaller, to veer towards the hard right, and to be less ambitious for what we can be and do as a country when the world really needs Canada.
That's not an answer, though. Yes or no?
No, he didn't really answer it. And to think that Trudeau is calling Pierre Poilievre hard right. Wanting less taxes and affordable homes is hard right, guys. Oh my gosh. And I'm so glad that we don't have to worry about this guy's view of where Canada needs to be, and I'm so glad that Justin Trudeau doesn't get to decide what's right for Canadians and what's right for Canada. Because, oh my gosh, we would be in such a pickle.
No, is there another leader that could beat him?
Absolutely.
In English, please, sir.
In 2008, the Governor General correctly concluded that because the very last times in the previous weeks.
Okay, so I think that question was about Stephen Harper proroguing Parliament, but it was in French, so it was skipped over a little bit.
That the confidence of the House had been tested. It had passed that confidence test. Stephen Harper continued to have the confidence of the House, and it actually would bear out because as soon as they came back from the prorogation, Stephen Harper won a confidence vote once again. So a political document or political speeches doesn't carry the kind of weight that winning a confidence vote means. But this prorogation will take us only into March, and there will be confidence votes in March in the passing of supply that will allow Parliament to weigh in on confidence in a way that is entirely in keeping with all the principles of democracy and the workings of our strong institutions.
Mais avec respect, M. Trudeau, y a-t-il pas quelque chose...
And it's interesting how accepting Trudeau is of this prorogued Parliament when in 2008, when Stephen Harper did it, he was grilling Stephen Harper on how he could prorogue Parliament and everything that was bad about it. Yeah, and look what he's doing now.
Une élection, vous l'avez pas dit.
The parliamentary press gallery and anyone who's been...
Pourquoi pas une élection? Vous l'avez pas dit.
The parliamentary press gallery and anyone who's been watching politics closely over the past months will know that Parliament has been entirely seized by obstruction and filibustering and a total lack of productivity over the past few months. We are right now the longest serving minority government in history, and it's time for a reset. It's time for the temperature to come down, for the people to have a fresh start in Parliament, to be able to navigate through these complex times, both domestically and internationally. And the reset that we have is actually two parts. One is the prorogation, but the other part is recognizing that removing me from the equation as the leader who will fight the next election for the Liberal Party should also decrease the level of polarization that we're seeing right now in the House and in Canadian politics, and allow people to actually focus on serving Canadians in this House and with their work the way Canadians deserve.
On va prendre une dernière question.
So he focuses on a lot about the reasons why Parliament is seized is because of filibustering, and that's not why it's seized. It's seized because the Liberals won't give give Parliament the documents they requested for the SDTC scandal, where they pretty much spent millions on, I think it was hundreds of millions. I have to look back at it because I can't remember how much, but yeah, they spent all of that money on companies that they owned or their friends owned. That's why the House is seized. But like I said before, of course he can't say that. But at least through this prorogued Parliament, we don't have to worry about bills like Bill C-64 anymore, Online Harms Act, and a lot of the free speech bills that were going through Parliament that haven't been given royal assent yet. So, glad we missed that bullet. So, you can thank the Conservative.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Stephanie Taylor with the National Post. Given, as you just said, there's going to be confidence votes in March, opposition parties have said they are prepared to bring down your government. What kind of chances do you think you are leaving to your successor, given that there will only be mere weeks for them to introduce themselves to Canadians before heading into an election, potentially?
I have a tremendous amount of confidence in both Canadians and in parliamentarians' interest in serving Canadians in the right way. We're in a minority government right now, and there hasn't been an active leadership in a minority government in more than 50 years in this country. And there is always going to be the challenge of having a leadership race while a parliament would face confidence votes in the course of delivering supply to the government. So this is something that we're going to navigate through, but I truly feel that removing the contention around my own continued leadership is an opportunity to bring the temperature down, have a government that will focus on the complex issues that are coming forward in the coming months, while the party gets to have a full national process that brings in people from right across the country and makes a determination about the best person to carry the progressive Liberal standard into the next election.
Can you clarify whether ministers who would like to campaign for your job will have to step out of cabinet? And how can the Liberal government be in a position to protect Canadian businesses and Canadians from the threat of tariffs from incoming President Donald Trump when members of the government are going to be focused on who's going to be taking your job?
The government will still, and the cabinet will still be very much focused on doing the job that Canadians elected us to do in 2021, which is fight for their interests, stand up for their well-being, and make sure that they are good and that Canadians are protected and strong. There will be a leadership process and the rules will unfold over the coming weeks. But I can assure you that the tools and the need to stand up for Canadians, to protect Canadians in their interests and continue to fight for the economy is something that everyone in this government will be singularly focused on.
So I don't understand why Trudeau waited until after the holidays to kind of figure this out, because he had to have known this was coming. He had to have known that he would have had to prorogue Parliament now when a successor comes, they'll pretty much have no time to really show themselves off before an election. What he should have done, or what I think, is he should have prorogued Parliament before, like I said, before the holidays, and then you could have had people in the Liberal Party kind of doing their campaigning for leader throughout Christmas holidays, and then at least you could get out a leader by end of February or something like that, and then hit the ground running. I mean, to be completely honest, I don't think Liberals have a chance at all of getting in. But what do you think? Do you think the Liberals even have a slim chance at winning the next election with a different candidate, or do you think it's going to be a clean sweep by the Conservatives? So let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and if you'd like to donate a little bit of something to the channel, there's a buy me a coffee link down below as well. And other than that, have a great day.